We grew up in the church, but never had a relationship with God, and it was just a routine. Lust was always a part of my life, and just never knew any different. Pornography I was always deep into that. It became an addiction. It became just a part of who I was. I felt like a part that I kept hidden from everybody, and it just ate away at me. But again, it was just always something I kept hidden, and then get married, and married for a couple of years, and it still is this big part of my life that I keep hidden, that nobody knows about.
Also, same thing, like he was saying, we both grew up in church, but didn't have a relationship with the Lord. I would just try perfection. Perfection was my idea of life and what I had to be in order to be good in God's eyes, and it led me into a lot of insecurities and whatnot. So that's kind of where I lived my life. We have an 18-month-old, and our world comes crashing down when Brian left the home.
So that hidden sin led me to an affair, and led me to be so far out in the weeds and so far away from my wife and my son, so much so that we were separated. I mean, I left, and I thought I knew what made you happy and blah blah blah. Still at this time, still not knowing the Lord, just doing stuff how we thought, what we thought we were supposed to be. It's all about me. It's all about me and what I want, But little did I know that was so far from the truth. And also, along with that addiction came like an unhealthy view of marriage, an unhealthy view of even what I thought of women in general. It just went along with that.
Well, when he left the home, I was devastated. I was honestly shocked at where my life was at this point. I never imagined where we were. I didn't think that my husband would ever leave. I didn't think that he would ever get caught up in an affair. I knew I needed something, but I wasn't quite sure what. So I thought, well, church would probably be a good place to go. So I Googled churches near me. I live in Bancroft, Michigan, and the Rock Church came up very first. So that Sunday, I went to the Rock Church service, and I felt like Pastor Wes was speaking directly toward my heart, that this was the place that I needed to be. And so I came back the next week, and the gospel was shared, and I knew why I had to be where I was. I needed to meet Jesus, and I went home that night and I prayed for my salvation. And I started meeting with Pastor Wes.
Then I started to see this peace in her that I just couldn't even explain. She was always an anxious person, and always, through this time was angry at times, and I don't blame her. Yeah, and so I started to see this peace, and I knew she'd been going to the Rock. I looked online and started listening to a couple sermons from Wes, and I heard the gospel, and I never really, not that I never prayed, but I just never even knew how to pray. I just couldn't keep it together. I was crying, and I just remember it was like a kick in the face, and I prayed just saying, God, please help me, and I knew that I was saved. So we're always excited to see what God can use us for, and then also we're excited because we're going to help plant the Village Church in Byron, the community we grew up in, and just hopefully be used in some way to help marriages and to make people realize how amazing it can be when God's the center of your marriage. So.